Hi, everyone. Harry here to talk about the decision of a grand jury in Norfolk, Virginia, not to indict or to reject the Department of Justice's efforts to re-indict Tish James after the previous indictment has been set aside on appeal because of the lack of qualifications of Lindsay Halligan, who signed the indictment to be in the office in the first place. Let me start here. Extraordinary event, a high profile, no true bill. In my total prosecutorial experience across different offices, I've encountered exactly one instance in which a grand jury declined to enter a true bill. My colleagues are pretty much the same, and I've only been able to find one instance, period, in which after an indictment is dismissed, rather than waiting for it to play out, federal prosecutors said, let's just go in there again, and lost. So the chain of events here and the sort of deafening rejection of the DOJ's effort to really crucify Tish James is the headline, and a bold one, even though for many people in the public, it's, they didn't do it. I guess they disagreed. So as a matter of prosecutorial experience, DOJ practice and the like, it would be seismic, but not in this administration, because the immediate reaction within was, well, you shouldn't celebrate yet. We're not giving up on it. And I think indeed, while I've never, it would be nigh unto unprecedented. There's no law against it. There are some systems, state systems, where you can't go back absent the showing of something new, et cetera. But under the federal system, there's actually no prohibition on going again and again to try to indict someone. Of course, it wouldn't happen because it's such a strong demonstration of unconstitutional focus or selection of someone for reasons other than the proof, which a grand jury has rejected, and is a demonstration that your case is really weak because the bromide applies. It is very easy generally. Maybe this is a problem, but it's a fact that matters here. It's pretty easy you get grand juries accepting prosecutorial recommendations to indict nearly all the time. So this pushback is quite significant, I think, even though the DOJ has gives every indication, okay, we're going again, then we'll go again, then we'll go again, because it's so clear that the political agenda of coming on down from on high, the president, to get his political antagonist, Tish James, is so paramount. So, even there doesn't seem to be even a weighing of, are we kind of getting embarrassed here? And do we not have a case? It's just pedal to the metal, or so it would appear. The second and related point is the failure to return a true bill, and then if they go and do it again, really only strengthens the case for the motion that lies immediately on the other side of a grand jury indictment, namely the selective vindictive prosecution against James, that James has raised, as well as Jim Comey having raised, and then other people in the mix now, right? All of whom seem to have been singled out for raw political reasons. Eric Swalwell, Adam Schiff, and the like. The basic question, it's a causal question when you come down to it under the law. Is this the but-for cause, the presidential's, political animus that the person was indicted? And, nothing breaks that causal chain. If anything, it strengthens the causal chain when the Department of Justice goes back, even having lost. Now, this was a grand jury out of Norfolk, Virginia, not Alexandria. And that's the same locale, not the same grand jury, though, that previously took testimony in which the great niece of Tish James said, I never paid rent on this house. And the whole theory of the DOJ seems to be that James got the mortgage saying she was not going to use it as a rental property. And look, she did. There was, maybe a few, we don't even know what the proof is, but the great niece who lived there maybe paid some rent, although she denies it. An extremely weak case, and what takes it from extremely weak to laughable, although, it's not a laughing matter to abuse federal prosecutorial practice in this way. The entire amount of loss that supposedly occurred because of James's alleged fraud, that is, the loan that she was supposedly able to secure by saying, as seems to be true, but leave that aside, by saying this is at a secondary residence, is something like $1,800 over the course of a loan. I can't tell. That's not small potatoes. That's not even little buds in the DOJ practice guidelines. Every office has a minimal loss below which they normally won't consider. And that's would typically be like, 100 times this. So again, very strong indication that it is not. It's an extraordinary case way out of the mainstream that they would only be bringing in order to, for raw political reasons. In addition, and so we're talking that they lose now, let's say they go again. And as eyebrow raising and even sort of, nauseating as it is for DOJ insiders and practitioners who understand its rarity, they seem determined to push ahead. The overall record for Tish James of the evidence of a political motive is even stronger than with Comey. With Comey, his lawyers made a pretty good showing in court that when Comey would talk in the public sphere, that's when Trump would go on the warpath. He was on the permanent warpath against James. They submitted a 7-page single-space series of statements by Trump against James. So it really fills out a pretty strong record. And remember that that's a due process violation, even if they could prove a technical violation of the mortgage fraud statute that they're charging her with, which is, again, in and of itself dubious. So where are we? We are at a place where that would be an absolute brick wall stopping point. Indeed, if it even would ever happen, 99 out of 100 times with this administration, it looks like, round 3 is coming. They'll go to round 4, round 5. The actual dismissal that happened because of Halligan's lack of qualifications or being improperly appointed is still proceeding on appeal. I actually suggested at the time that they would have this dual strategy of proceeding on appeal and doing a superseding indictment. If they can make the superseding indictment stick, then the other issue sort of goes away, presuming they've done it right. We haven't seen what the indictment would have looked like or who was involved because the grand jury bounced them. But presumably they're smart enough to not replicate that original mistake. But even so, if they do, what remains is the immediate consideration, and this is true for Comey too, of the vindictive prosecution motion, which seemed in the Comey case anyway to be very that the court seemed really inclined to approve it. It's an unusual kind of motion to be approved, but as we've said, the evidence here is overwhelming. And I'll just add, it's overwhelming of something that, I've been particularly appalled by because it's just the kind of worst thing that's the most against this whole DNA and bone marrow of the Department of Justice to actually indict someone as a political repercussion or for reprisal because the president orders it. That is what happens in totalitarian regimes and not what happens in democracies. But here we are. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.